Let's get you ready for the Korn Ferry Tour Finals. We're on the road to French Lick. Hello and welcome once again to the Road to French Lick, a show chronicling the Korn Ferry Tour. I'm Barend Botha. On this week's episode, we're going to give you the lay of the land to get you ready for the Korn Ferry Tour Finals, the 4-event series that concludes the Korn Ferry Tour season, which will end with the Korn Ferry Tour Championship presented by United Leasing and Finance at the Pete Dye course at the French Lick Resort out in Indiana. That's where 20 players on the Korn Ferry Tour points list will move up to the PGA Tour with the graduation to give them 2026 PGA Tour status. In this episode, we're going to explain how the Korn Ferry Tour Finals works. We'll give you the points list and the situation for players who are at the lower end of the cutoff and toward the higher end of the cutoffs for each of these events, as well as for that top 20 on the Korn Ferry Tour points list and what all of that means in the next several weeks. We'll also be joined by Barend Botha, who's one of those players on the Korn Ferry Tour looking to become a graduate and go to the PGA Tour in 2026. Let's start with an explanation of what the Korn Ferry Tour Finals is, how it works, those events, and everything that results from them. The Korn Ferry Tour Finals is a 4-event series that concludes the Korn Ferry Tour season. It ends with the Korn Ferry Tour Championship presented by United Leasing and Finance, and that is reserved for the top 75 players in the points list after the 22-event regular season and the first 3 events of the Korn Ferry Tour Finals. However, there are markers on the points list that you need to get into the first 3 events of the finals, and they get exceedingly more difficult for players to get into those events. Each of these 4 events has a purse of $1.5 million, which is a $500,000 increase from the regular season purse of $1 million. There's also a 20% bump in the points for the Korn Ferry Tour points list. Typically, in the regular season, you get 500 points for a win in the regular season. However, in the Korn Ferry Tour Finals, that increases to 600 points, and all of the points increase by 20% in relationship. So there is a little bit more on the line here in these 4 events, and that will determine altogether the points in the regular season and all of the finals events who are the 20 graduates that go to the PGA Tour for 2026. It's important to note that you want to be number 1 on the points list at the end of the season. We have 3 players this year, Austin Smotherman, Johnny Kiefer, and Neil Shipley, who have won twice this season. If they win in any of the finals events, they earn an automatic promotion to the PGA Tour, and that would make them eligible to play in FedEx Cup fall events. However, being number 1 on the points list may be something they pursue instead of playing in the PGA Tour throughout the course of the finals, because if you are number 1 on the final points list, and that includes players who get a 3-win promotion, you get fully exempt status on the PGA Tour in 2026, which means you are not subject to something called reshuffles, which limits or changes your accessibility to certain events based on FedEx Cup points that you earn. It also gives you an invitation to play in the US Open and the Players Championship in 2026. So being number 1 on the points list is a big deal. That is a goal for all of the players who are seeking to be PGA Tour players in 2026. The first event of the series is the Simmons Bank Open. That starts, benefiting the Snedeker Foundation, that starts September the 11th at Vanderbilt Legends Club out in Franklin, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville proper. This is an event that has taken over this first spot in the playoffs from the Albertsons Boise Open, and it represents the first event of the Korn Ferry Tour Finals. It is reserved for players inside the top 156 in the points list. Only those players who are in the top 156 can play in the event. They don't add additional players from outside of that number to round out the field if there aren't enough to fill the field. And doesn't have to be a full field event. You can skip these events. You're not required to play in all of the finals events. After this first event, the Simmons Bank Open, the points list will determine the players who get in the second leg of the finals, which is the Nationwide Children's Hospital Championship, played on the Scarlet Course at The Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. That's one of the tougher courses to play on the Korn Ferry Tour schedule, for one, but also this tournament is reserved for players who are in the top 144 in the points list after the regular season in the Simmons Bank Open. We'll play this tournament. This tournament, like the first one and the third one, will have a cut to the top 65 players in ties after 36 holes. After the Nationwide Children's Hospital Championship, they'll skip a week, they'll take a week off, and then they'll go to the third leg of the playoffs / finals. In this leg, it's reserved for the top 120 players on the points list. Those players will get into the Compliance Solutions Championship, which is new to the final series this year. It's played at the Patriot Golf Club out in Owasso, Oklahoma. Again, this tournament is reserved for those players in the top 120 on the points list. They will play to a 65 in ties cut after 36 holes, and like all of the first three tournaments in the series, with a $1.5 million purse and 600 Korn Ferry Tour points to the winner. At the end of that tournament, there will be a cutoff to determine the field for the Korn Ferry Tour Championship presented by United Leasing and Finance, and it is the biggest cutoff of all. Go down from 120 players who qualify for this third event in Oklahoma to just 75 players who qualify for the Korn Ferry Tour Championship. Those top 75 players advance to French Lick and play on the Pete Dye course for 4 days with no cut. So if you qualify for the field, you have full status on the Korn Ferry Tour in 2026, regardless of what happens, which means you don't have to go to Q School for that purpose. You can go to Q School, of course, and try to get a PGA Tour card, but you have a place to play guaranteed next year regardless. In that event, you have to again finish in the top 20 in the points to get a PGA Tour card for 2026. And for a number of players, there are scenarios where you have to win to be one of those 20. But for many of those players inside the top 20 heading into the tournament, probably about 2/3 of them, they're going to have a PGA Tour card more or less locked up regardless of the result of the tournament. But the final event will wrap it all up, we'll wrap up the season, and we will have our 20 graduates for 2026 to the PGA Tour.
French Lick, Indiana, our little corner of the world, has big things waiting. It's where legends were made, on the court and on the course. Walter Hagen, Colin Montgomery, Betsy Rawls, and Mickey Wright. It's where life is lived to the fullest, and where unexpected adventures are around every corner. Big things are waiting. Are you in? Visit FrenchLick.com and start your escape here in Indiana.
Our guest this week on the road to French Lick is Barend Botha, the Ohio native these days and South African born player. He is competing on the PGA Tour this year and finds himself just kind of in that middling range with an opportunity to potentially move up significantly in the finals and still get a PGA Tour card for 2026. Our Brendan Sweeney caught up with him earlier in the season to talk about his experiences and his year.
So how do you like the, obviously, the Korn Ferry Tour is a little bit different from life as a Toledo Rocket.
Yeah, it is. A lot of traveling, same as at university, but it's been good. I think college is a good preparation to a life. So it's a little different. You don't have a big team around you, but you still have some members. So caddy, manager, a few guys around you that are part of the team. So a little bit of a team aspect still, but yeah.
How difficult was it making the transition from South Africa to Toledo, not only Toledo but to Orlando now?
Yeah, I mean, my freshman year when I came in, it was snowing already, and I just came from summer, so it was a little bit of a shock, but I don't think it was too difficult. I had my brother there too, so it's not that bad. So I had someone there that I could speak Afrikaans to, and it was my brother, so it made it a lot easier.
Any culture shock at all, like going to the local restaurant or the roommate from Cleveland that snores or whatever it may be?
We had a Danish teammate that was rooming with us. Great kid and everything, but it was fun. I had someone else there from a different country, so it was good. And then food-wise, I say that was probably the biggest shock. I mean, everything was bigger, and had to change a few of my pronunciations so that the people could understand what I wanted. So, yeah.
How's it? Obviously, this year has gone off pretty well. 6 events, 3 cuts. You're in the 25th on the list, give or take.
Yeah.
Are you pleasantly surprised? Your preparation, your motivation. How's it working?
I think PJ Americas prepared me a little bit for this. I mean, PJ Americas is very low scoring, and you had to go low every single week if you wanted to compete. And it was just normal college golf, I would say. That's kind of where I assumed that I could do this, and then when I went to PJ Americas and won twice, that just gave me more confidence that I could compete with these guys and that they weren't out of my league.
Right.
But yeah, I'm happy so far with the performance. Still a lot of work to do though, but yeah, I feel good.
How do you prepare for a week like this? You just got done with obviously 6 events that were not in the United States.
Yeah.
But coming to the States and being in, obviously starting here in Savannah, southern climate, and then you head off to Florida after that.
Yeah.
So it's relatively close to home now.
Yeah.
The travel won't be as intense, but it'd be more, I would assume, driving or whatnot. But
yeah.
How do you prepare like a week like this?
Normally, we like to get out here probably Sunday night, maybe early Monday mornings. And then just get on the golf course, get the feel of the greens, because the greens change every single week. Luckily for me, this is very similar to Orlando, so
Yeah.
kind of have a good feel for the greens. And I mean, they're rolling pretty nicely and true, I would say. And you can easily see the grain changes. So greens wise, I would say it's very similar. So practicing out of Lake Nona definitely helps. And then just get back into the rhythm of it, hit balls, make sure the timing and everything's there, and then play 9 normally Monday, Tuesday, and get the feel of the golf course. And then Wednesdays, if we're in the Pro-Am, play the Pro-Am too. But yeah, just see the golf course and figure out what's the best way to play it.
Got it. What's your go-to social media stuff? Are you a big Instagram guy?
Yeah, Instagram. I'd say Instagram's the only one that I do. But yeah, not really on any of the other ones. Very active on them, but
get it going.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we wish you the best of luck. Looking forward to. Hopefully, you're not in French Lick. Hopefully, you bypass that whole thing, go right to the tour, man. We'd love to see you. But hey, we appreciate you. We appreciate what the MAC conference has done. A little Maction on the Korn Ferry Tour. You want to say hi to anybody? Any sponsors? Anybody you want to say hi to?
American Interiors, Ashworth, Callaway, Agile Blue, another Toledo alum there. So very appreciative for what they do for me, and without them, wouldn't be here. So very thankful for them.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
As we get ready for the Korn Ferry Tour Finals, it's important to go over where players stand in the points list heading into the 4-event series. Let's go over the top 5 in the points list just to reset who's at the top of the table heading into that series. Johnny Kiefer is number 1 on the points list at 2,071 points. He has 2 wins on the season. Austin Smotherman also has 2 wins on the season. He is second in points at 1,844. Neil Shipley is the other player of the 3 to have 2 wins this season. He is third on the points list at 1,627. Emilio Gonzalez, who won the Albertsons Boise Open, is now in 4th position at 1,532 points. And Hank Lebioda, who won the season opener in the Bahamas, is in 5th position at 1,444 points. Heading down to the number 20 position, the cutoff to be a graduate for the PGA Tour cards heading into 2026. That player right now is Josh Teeter, who won in Panama this year. He has 825, nearly 826 points. At the outset of the year, Korn Ferry Tour predicted that approximately 1,000 points would be the necessary number to get into this top 20 at the end of the season. That seems to be pretty accurate in the end. That would mean that Josh Teeter would need to earn approximately 175 points in the 4 events of the Korn Ferry Tour Finals to assure himself a spot on the PGA Tour in 2026. If you look heading into the finals, knowing that 600 points is awarded to a winner in each of these finals events, then the player who is sitting basically at 50th position has the best opportunity and above has the best opportunity to win and in, so to speak. If you win one of the events in the Korn Ferry Tour Finals, you're going to practically guarantee yourself one of those 20 PGA Tour cards. That cutoff right now is Sandy Scott, and that's at 445 points. So 600 points for a win in the finals. That would get Scott over that 1,000 threshold and have him in position to earn a card for 2026 onto the PGA Tour. The cutoff for about 400 points, there isn't someone quite in that number. There's actually an interesting gap between 57th at Barend Botha and 58th Peter Quest. Botha has 421 points on the season. If he were to win a Korn Ferry Tour Finals event, that 600 points would put him over that 1,000 figure and likely get him to the PGA Tour in 2026. But Peter Quest, however, has 394 points. So there's a 30-ish point gap between those players. A win for Quest, though, in a finals event and no other points would not get him over that 1,000 point mark. So there are a lot of things that can happen here. And even that 994 hypothetical points might still be enough, but we're looking at that 1,000 figure to be the cutoff. So looking down at the start of the Korn Ferry Tour Finals, that 156 players on the points list. Number 156 is Harrison Endicott. He has 60.75 points. The 144 point part, or player in the 144th part of the list, so that'd be the cutoff for the next event in Ohio. That's Joseph Bramlett, who's been playing on the PGA Tour as well as some on the Korn Ferry Tour this year. He is at 82.5 points. So you're going to have to earn, if you're Harrison Endicott, a little over 22 points. And then the cutoff to the next player is Chesson Hadley, who's at 155, 61.4 points. So you're going to have to make the cut, and then you're going to have a pretty decent finish to be able to earn enough points to advance if you're in that 145 to 156 range. And then currently the cutoff for the 120 position, that's Bobby Diaz. He has 168.9 points. He's going to need to move up pretty significantly if he wants to get into the top 75, which currently that cutoff is Blades Brown. The teenager has 300.1 points. So good finishes are needed to move up significantly into the top 75. Modest finishes are needed to move up to get in that gap between 156 and 144 and 144 and 120. Brendan Sweeney joins me from Orlando. We're going to get ready to break down the field of 156 heading into the first leg of the Korn Ferry Tour Finals down in Nashville, Tennessee, just so we kind of lay the land out for everybody here. We got the first event in Nashville, and that's going to run from the 11th through the 14th of September. 1 week later, they're going to go to Columbus for the Nationwide Children's Hospital Championship, which has been a long-standing event in the finals. That's in Columbus, Ohio at The Ohio State University. Then we got a week break. And we've got a new third tournament in the series. It's the Compliance Solutions Championship out in Oklahoma at the Patriot. And then we're going to French Lick right after that the next week for the Korn Ferry Tour Championship. So you got to be in the top 156 to get into the tournament. You're going to be in the top 144 in points after that first leg, then 120, and then 75. And there's no cut in that final event. So that all said, Brendan, is anyone you're paying particular attention to as we get ready for this first event in Nashville? Guys that are kind of bubble boys that need to make a little hay or at least get some points to assure themselves a spot in Ohio.
Where do you start, man? I mean, you look at names like Nick Watney, Aaron Wise, Brandon Crick, Ryan Armour. I mean, these guys have been. I mean, granted, there's been 19 tournaments this year so far. And they're just grinding for points. But, those 12 spots that are going to be eliminated go down to the 144 range, and then they're fighting from there. So if you basically missed the cut in these events within the next 2 weeks, you're packing your bags for the rest of the year. And it's getting tough. It's getting really difficult out there for these guys to start gathering points. I mean, we mentioned at the beginning of the year, to get your PGA card, you got to be north of 1,000 points. These guys right now who are trying to make the points, they haven't broken 100 yet. So I think the tour has been rather generous. If you play well, obviously you can't hide on the golf course, and the talent level speaks for themselves. So, but I think this first leg, when you eliminate guys, then you look at the week after that. When you're in Ohio at 144 players, you have Bo Kim, Kevin Tway, Kevin Shapeel, Tanya Goyo, Ian Gilligan. I mean, these guys are literally all in the bubble. So if they miss the cut this week and they miss the cut next week or the following week in Ohio, it's be a long, cold winter, man. I mean, you got Q School, you got 20 guys that are coming down from the PGA Tour, right? Or 25.
Yeah, 25.
Yeah, 125 to 120 to 100. So those 25 fellows will be spread out over. But I tell you what, man, this week is pressure cooked. I'm going to be up in Nashville on Monday and Tuesday, so I'll be talking to a few guys out there. But I mean, when you're on the range and it's like, hey, you got a couple of minutes to talk to Road to French Lick, you got to be really careful who you're picking. So I could get a couple unique answers, which I'm sure I will. So we'll see what happens, Ryan.
Yeah, it's a little different conversation. I mean, and we've talked about this throughout the course of the season, that people kind of get a little bit of an edge to them the further along in the season that you get, and the more you're just kind of hanging out in that not safe zone, in the danger zone, where you might have no kind of status to speak of whatsoever if you get eliminated basically in the first two legs of the finals. If you're out at 156 to 144 or 144 to 120, you got to go play Q School. You're going to play probably second stage of Q School in some cases. It's not going to be pretty. Like you've got a lot of life choices to make if you don't do well in these next two events.
Well, you can polish up on your Spanish, because I'm sure you'd be like spending a lot of time in South America playing on the PGA Tour Latin America season, and also in Canada too. So if you look at the balance of what the Korn Ferry Tour has and then how to get to the PGA Tour, but if you look at the lesser tours, I'm sure that I hope that their purses are getting bigger because their field's getting stronger just by eliminating people. So next year should be rather interesting. And then also with the different statuses trying to get on the PGA Tour, whether it's through PGAU or the DP World Tour or coming through a different way. I mean, Korn Ferry is the best way to get through there. But I mean, if you look at, when you're in Oklahoma in 3 weeks, if these guys, if you're in the 120 so far, I mean, we're talking names like, Sam Bennett and Doc Redman, who last year were just strokes away from getting their PGA Tour card. Yeah. And now they're full throttle, dude. And if someone from this field, someone, within the top, I don't know, 75, like a Cole Hammer, like a Martin Leard, Nelson Ledesma, Will McGirt, Preston Summerhays, any of these guys, I mean, they have such deadly power and they're so good. And if they win, boom, 600 points. Now you're talking dark horse coming out of the, back of the field. Here to come spin around the turn to the final stretch. And like Thornberry did last year. He had to win French Lick to get his PGA Tour card, and he did it. So, this is exciting. I mean, we've been talking about it a lot. I'm sure that our listeners out there are, some people like it and some people don't, but hey, you can't hide in a golf course like we said before.
Yeah, and the difficulty of the golf courses is really going to start to change. Not that in Nashville it's not the hardest course and it's not the easiest course, but it starts to get progressively tougher as we go.
Ohio State, yeah, you get the Scarlet.
Ohio State Scarlet is no joke. It is a tough Mackenzie, very, very, very challenging golf course. Has some Jack Nicklaus thumbprints on it, of course, but very, very challenging golf course. Patriot can be really hard. I've seen collegiate events where the scoring can be very difficult there, and now it's becoming a Korn Ferry Tour host. And obviously, we know from experience, but also Joe Weiler talked about this during Media Day for the Korn Ferry Tour Championship. The players know this is going to be the hardest course they play all year at French Lick. So it's getting harder each step through, and the idea of winning a tournament at 22, 25, 27 under par through the finals, that those days are out the window.
Yeah, when you had to cut it like -7, no way that's going to happen. But you look at the weather aspect of it too. So Ryan, if you're looking at Oklahoma in the first week of October, you could get 85 and sunny, or you could get 35 and raining, and that's the same thing with that French Lick too. I mean, we had the senior LPGA championship, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, and it was 75 and sunny one day, and then the first day the tournament started, it dropped down to the 40s. It was raining sideways. People were freezing their tails off. So it definitely changed the aspect and the projection of the tournament. So, selfishly, I would love to see a fast hard track and the best test of golf with the ideal conditions like they had last year. But I also would think it'd be pretty cool to see, what would happen with a 30-degree wind or 30-mile-an-hour wind out there, like we've all seen before. When the flagpole on top of the die is bending, just out of pure boomness of it all. So, yeah, it could be cool, man. We're looking forward to it. And then you look at some of the players who started off strong this year, and I think the one thing that stands out in my mind is James Nichols. We were in the Bahamas. We met him at a reception. He's just a dynamite young man. And then, he was literally, I think, in second or third place, and comes up on his 16th hole and jacks a 9, and boom. I mean, he's riding on the rims for the rest of the year. I mean, if he would have finished, top 4 or 5 in that tournament, he literally could be contending for his card already. So it's just the way it is, and it just comes down to one stroke and just could totally throw a monkey wrench into your whole gearbox.
Yeah, I mean, the good news for someone like James, who qualified for the U.S. Open on his own, is that maybe he'll thrive on these tougher courses, these more challenging tests that are going to be more reminiscent of what you're going to see on the PGA Tour if you graduate from the Korn Ferry Tour. Feels like there are some players who are just kind of born to play that style of golf a little bit better than the golf we've seen so far this year on the Korn Ferry Tour, where these guys are lighting up courses that you can't make them long enough. They're going after a lot of pins and, like I said, getting into the mid-20s under par.
We can make it long enough.
They could make it long enough.
We can make it long enough. We can make it long enough. We got 8102
at the Pete Dye course. I think would make a good argument for it. And but fortunately for the players' sake to play the Tour Championship, they're not going to have that problem.
What do you think the cool story is? I mean, right now we're looking at number 75 on the list is Blades Brown. And if you finish in the top 75, you get your Korn Ferry status for next year locked up. But does he have the firepower? What if he got his victory and projected his way up to the top? That'd be cool.
And we talked about that, where right now where everyone stands, knowing that kind of 1,000-point number is the right number. Mm-hmm. And we know now that you get 600 Korn Ferry Tour points for a win in the finals instead of 500. So everything's bumped up 20%.
Right.
That if you're about 50th right now and you win an event, you pretty much are guaranteed a PGA Tour card for next year. Blades is just outside that, as you mentioned. So he would need probably a win and like a top 10 somewhere to make this happen. Not to say that's impossible, but he's got nothing to lose also. If he makes a single cut, he's probably got full status on the Korn Ferry Tour for next year. He doesn't have to worry about special temporary membership, Monday qualifying, any of that type of stuff. He can just go out the gate and play. So if he can rack up some points, he's got nothing to lose and everything to gain. I think that makes him kind of dangerous.
Well, Josh Teeter is sitting on number 20 right now.
Yeah.
So he's a dynamite individual. We love him to death, and we hope he just gets up there. But everybody's full throttle. So, yeah, I'm going to be walking in eggshells. I'll be in Nashville, then I'll be in Columbus, and then I'm off the road till we go to French Lick. So it's cool, man. Well, hey, thanks for the time, and hopefully we get some good results, and we'll see you soon in French Lick, buddy.
That'll do it for us this week on the road to French Lick. Thanks so much for watching. We appreciate it. The start of the Korn Ferry Tour Finals begins with the Simmons Bank Open, benefiting the Snedeker Foundation down in Nashville. That's the first tournament of 4 in the Korn Ferry Tour Finals series. We'll have shows after each of the Korn Ferry Tour Finals events, concluding with 20 players getting PGA Tour cards for 2026 at the Korn Ferry Tour Championship at a French Lick Resort out in Indiana. For Brendan Sweeney and everyone at the French Lick Resort, I'm Ryan Ballengee. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on the road to French Lick.
You've arrived at French Lick Resort, here in Indiana. 2 hotels you have to see to believe. Legendary Golf by Pete Dye and Donald Ross. Our little corner of the world is like nowhere else. Your French Lick getaway starts now at FrenchLick.com.